Good morning, everyone.
No, it's all good.
What time is it? 10. 11. Unfortunately, our chair, Marcia, cannot be here this morning. I am going to call this meeting to order. Could we do the roll call, please?
Yes, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Ajibola Balogun,
Here.
Marcia Berry Smith, Maura Bowman, Michelle Coley, Beth Daly,
Here.
Luke Harrigan, Parnell Joyce.
Here.
Chris Kresman,
Here.
Nathan Perlmutter,
Here.
Ashley Roche, Commissioner Rogers, Ralph Stone,
Here.
Tanisha Taylor.
Here.
And we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. We're going to get right into our presentation. I would ask that anybody who may have questions, please hold them to the end of the presentation. And I'd like to introduce Mr. Javier Acevedo, please.
Good morning. Thank you. And before I begin and introduce myself more, I want to thank my colleagues that made this possible, Mercedes Mejia and Alex Valdez. So let me begin. As was said by the chair, my name is Javier Acevedo. I'm a senior GIS analyst specializing in demographics with the Urban Planning Division. My presentation today will be about the changing population in Broward County. However, I want to start more broadly with an overview of the changing landscape of Broward County since its incorporation in 1915. These maps show you 110 years of change. All these changes in the landscape result from settling near, altering, and the introduction of water bodies, railways, and roadways. Okay. Yeah, so all these changes you're seeing, these aren't parcels. This is just roadways, canals being added, and water bodies. And this is Broward County today. With the bird's eye bullet train view of Broward County's changing landscape completed, I want to focus on the real purpose of my presentation. Today I'll be discussing the changes occurring in Broward County's population. The change will focus on population characteristics, components of growth, housing and income, poverty, and senior population. I will tell you about this change through a series of slides containing maps and charts. The first chart I will show you to discuss population characteristics is a series of animated population pyramids that show data from 2010 to 2023. Before they begin, I will describe them. A population pyramid breaks down population according to age and sex. Age is organized to 5-year age groups that appears on the left side of the y-axis. Okay? The count of male and female are shown and split along the bottom on the x-axis. Population pyramids help provide insights to population structure, growth, and potential future trends. Between 2010 and 2023, Broward County's population pyramid shifted primarily due to the decrease in the age in school age groups and in the increase of the senior age population. Overall, the school age population just increased by 1% in this time period, while the senior population increased by 50%. The next chart helps visualize the population by generations. The breakdown of generations gives us insight into the future trends as well. The generations are defined vertically, starting at the silent generation and working down to Generation Alpha, the most recent generation defined. Based on this data, approximately 15% of the population is school-aged and 18% of the population is over age 65. And so from this chart, we could also gather that over the next 25 years, the senior population will grow as young boomers, Generation X, and older millennials progress through life. This graph shows the expected growth for the school-age population and the senior age population from 2020 to 2050. The school age population will increase, but just by just over 100,000, or approximately 37%. The senior population will increase by nearly 225,000, or nearly 67%. Okay. Now that I've looked at the population pyramids and the generation-based charts, I will use two maps to show where two groups live that will drive future changes. The first map shows the percentage of the Hispanic population by census tracts. The census tracts that have Hispanic population rates of 45% and over can be mainly found in southwestern Broward, looking at Weston, Pembroke Pines, and Miramar. The highest rate can be found in Weston, where a census tract population is 70% Hispanic. The next map shows the percentage of population that is African American. The census tracts that have the African American population rates of 70% and over are primarily found in central Broward. This includes Lauderhill, Lauderdale Lakes, and Central County. The highest rate can be found in the city of Fort Lauderdale, where a census tract's population is 95% African American. Now that I've shown you where the Black and Hispanic population currently live, I want to show you some trends out into the future. These charts show the racial and ethnic makeup of Broward County's population from 2000 to 2050. Between 2000 and 2020, both the Black and Hispanic population grew. The increases were 14% and 7% respectively. Meanwhile, the white population decreased from 58% to 33%. These trends are projected to continue through 2050. The Hispanic population rates more than double since 2020, while the white non-Hispanic population rates will reduce by more than double. So in the next two charts, I'm going to compare specific age groups and the total population, their racial and ethnic makeup. So the first chart compares the racial and ethnic makeup of the total population versus the population aged 5 to 17. This chart shows that the school-age population is proportionately higher Black and Hispanic, so overall younger, these population groups. Next, I'm going to show you the seniors doing the same thing, comparing the total population racial and ethnic makeup to the makeup of the senior population. So from here, we see that the senior population is predominantly white. Okay, the next few slides discuss the components of population growth. The components of population growth are migration, births, and deaths. Births and deaths are self-explanatory, as we all do it eventually. Migration can be a little bit more difficult to grasp. Thus, I will explain it in simpler terms. So, net migration, the two components are shown in orange. So, net migration is made up of international and domestic migration. International net migration is the difference between the people that move to Broward from other countries. So these could be the Colombian people, the Venezuelan, the Haitian people. And then the other part of it are those Broward residents that migrate internationally. So a personal example is I have a friend from the university who moved to Australia to teach. So I mean, the thing is, I don't have many friends that do that, but I do know a lot of people that have moved here internationally. So domestic net migration is the difference between the people that move to Broward from Miami-Dade and other states. For example, all the New Yorkers that have historically moved here. And then the other half of it are the Broward residents that move to North Florida or other states. So think of all the people that you know that moved to North Carolina. Okay? So the difference between international migration and domestic migration result in net migration. Okay? The next component is easy, is natural increase. It's just the difference between births and deaths. These two factors, net migration, shown on the bottom, and natural increase are combined to result in annual growth. So this chart here showed it to you for 2024. In 2024, the leading factor contributing to population was international net migration, because you can see the larger difference of it rather than natural increase. But now that we know what happened in 2024, the next chart shows the components of growth from 2000 to 2024. Natural increase is represented by the blue line, and the total net migration by the orange line. This chart shows that natural increase has remained relatively stable, except for some dips in 2010 and 2020, so the tail end of the recession and COVID. Meanwhile, total net migration has fluctuated greatly from year to year. So the question that I had as a result of this is, what component of total net migration is driving these dips that sometimes reach into the negative range? This chart helps answer that by showing the components of total net migration from 2000 to 2024. International net migration is shown in blue and is relatively stable, never dipping into the negative range. But meanwhile, domestic net migration, shown in orange, regularly drops into the negative ranges. This means domestically, more people are moving out of Broward, and that the population growth between this period is primarily due to international migration. This next chart does not measure migration, but it does reflect the trends of increased international migration. This chart breaks up the population by where people were born from 1990 to 2020. Starting from the bottom, orange is the population born in other countries, the foreign born. Dark blue is the people born in U.S. states other than Florida. The light blue rectangle is the population born in Florida. In reflection of the international migration trends, the percentage of foreign born in Broward doubled from 18% in 1990 to 36% in 2020. So now, where are the majority of these foreign-born people coming from? The next two pie charts breaks down where the foreign population is born. From these charts, we see that the foreign-born population of Broward has been primarily from Latin America since the year 2000. By 2020, more than 4 out of 5 of the foreign-born population of Broward was born in Latin America. The European foreign-born population dipped, the other stayed stable. Okay, on the following few charts, I'm going to begin my discussion about housing and income. This map shows which decade has the most housing units built within each census tract. The legend shows the colors get progressively darker as you get to the more contemporary recent decades. The dominant decade in which housing units were built was the 1970s. The 1970s is the mid shade of purple before you get into the darker shades of pink. There are 417 census tracts in Broward County. And the 1970s is dominant in 138 of them. The 1970s was the only decade dominant in over 100 census tracts. So Broward County has an estimated 850,000 housing units, and more than 25% of them were built in the 1970s. From this map, you see that the older housing stock is generally dominant from central Broward to the east, while the newer housing units were built in the western half of Broward County. On this next slide, there are two charts. One that measures the components that make up housing tenure, and the other housing type. Tenure basically means how a housing unit is occupied. So is the housing unit owned, rented, vacant, or seasonal? More than 50% of Broward's housing units in Broward are owner-occupied. The second chart looks at the type of housing unit. Are they single-family? Are they multifamily? Are they other types like mobile homes, boathouses? So By a slim margin, the most occupied housing units are multifamily. Now I want to show you when this happened. This chart shows that the year built of housing units by type for the period between 2010 and 2023. So the takeaway from this chart is that most housing units being built are predominantly multifamily. Multifamily has been dominant since about 2012. And that difference between single family and housing units is expanding, has expanded since then. On this map, I show median household income by census tract. The lighter color shades represent the lower median household incomes for census tracts. Out of 417, 211 of the census tracts have median household incomes below the county median value, which was $74,500 in 2023. The households with lower household income values are generally found in central Broward, while the higher household income census tracts are found mainly in western and the eastern edges of Broward County. In this graph, I've plotted two variables for the period between 2012 and 2023. The blue line, which stays pretty stable and almost stagnant, represents median income. The orange line is the sales price of a single-family home. The price has consistently risen and took a steep rise in 2019. So, in 2012, the median price was just over $200,000, 4 times the median household income, while in 2023, the median sales price of a single-family home was 8 times more than the median household income. Sorry. On the following slides, I will begin a brief discussion about the local economy of the county. This chart measures 2 different data points on separate axes. The axis with the whole numbers in black on the left side measures whether the workforce is a man or a woman. So then the axis in purple with the percentage values measures the labor force participation rate. So the fact that labor force participation rate goes across the female rectangle doesn't mean anything. It's just you should look at the right axis, which has the colors. That's what's measuring against there. Okay? Labor force participation measures the percentage of working age population that is either employed or looking for work. A higher rate means that more people are contributing to the economy through work. So Broward County's labor force participation rate actually exceeds national levels. So now I want to talk to you some about the workforce, about the break by gender. So the male workforce has been larger than the female workforce since 2000. Both genders have seen growth in workforce size, but since COVID in 2020, the difference in workforce size between the genders has grown. This is something that was also seen throughout the U.S. economy during COVID, when many women left the workforce as certain economic sectors struggled and school and childcare facilities closed. So this same impact of COVID is reflected in the labor force participation rate. In 2020, the rate dipped by nearly 2 percentage points. By 2023, we've been trending recovery. We've gone up 1 percentage point since then. This chart looks at the percentage breakdown of occupations for Broward County. The jobs of these residents can be in Broward, any of the surrounding counties, or even farther with remote jobs. So this chart finds that the occupation of Broward residents are dominated by 3 sectors: management and professional, services, and sales and office. Nearly 40% of Broward residents are employed in the management and professional sector. This includes management, business, financial occupations, computer and science occupations, education, and healthcare practitioners. But then there's a combination of 2 that is even greater than that. That's the sales and service occupations, which account for 43% of resident jobs. Typically, these two sectors have lower average salaries. This next pie chart looks at the percentage breakdown of jobs in Broward County. So the employees of these jobs are not necessarily county residents. It could be county residents or it could be people from the surrounding counties. So this chart finds that 72% of jobs in Broward are in service and retail jobs. Same thing, those typically have lower income, average income. But in 2023, the average rate of jobs in Broward was $69,246. The remaining portion of my presentation, I will discuss poverty, but more specifically seniors in poverty. To begin, the next graph measures two data points: the population in poverty, shown with the blue line, and the poverty rate, shown in orange. They each have separate axes that measure them. These variables are shown from 2010 to 2023 along the bottom. Both values have seen reductions from their peak values in 2013. The poverty rate's reduction has outpaced the reduction of people in poverty. Their reductions were 16% and 10% respectively. So now that we've reviewed poverty trends since 2010, the next portion of the analysis is to see where the highest poverty rates of the population can be found. Excuse me. The census tracts where 40 to 50% of the population is in poverty are found in isolated pockets throughout the county. The areas with these higher rates include Fort Lauderdale, Pembroke Pines, Central County, and Pompano Beach. The highest rate can be found in Fort Lauderdale, where there's a census tract with 49% of the population in poverty. So now that we've discussed poverty, the remainder of the analysis will look at the senior population. The next graph again includes two variables that are measured on different axes: the senior population with the blue line and the percentage of the population that is senior with the orange line and the orange axis color. This data again measures from 2010 to 2023. Both values have seen increases since their peak in 2010. The rate of increase has been nearly identical for both values. Okay, so this chart once again includes two variables measured on separate axes: the senior population in poverty with the blue line and the senior poverty rate with an orange line and orange axis color. Again, the data measures from 2010 to 2023. Both values have seen similar increases since 2010, but the senior population growth was by 106%, while the poverty rate increases was slower at 82%. So now that we've seen some poverty trends for seniors, the next portion of the analysis is to see where those highest percentages of seniors in poverty can be found. The first map shows the percentage of seniors in poverty. The census tracts with senior poverty rates greater than 30% can be found throughout isolated pockets in the county. These locations are usually associated with concentrations of assisted living facilities and age-restricted communities and buildings. The highest rates can be found in a census tract in Hollywood, where 58% of the census tract senior population is in poverty. So the thing that I want to note for this, obviously senior is 65 and over. So note that the poverty, that the income for a senior living alone, their income to be considered in poverty is just $14,610 and $18,430 for a two-person household. This was in 2023. So let's take that into account as we look at the next two maps. These maps look at a subset of the senior population. The first map shows the percentage of seniors 65 to 74 in poverty. So the census tracts with the senior poverty rates greater than 30% are again found in the unique isolated pockets that have assisted living facilities and age-restricted communities. The highest rate can be found in a census tract in Hollywood, where 58% of a census tract's population is in poverty. The final map shows the percentage of seniors 75 and over in poverty out of the total senior population. Census tracts with rates greater than 30% are again found in those unique isolated area. And so these seniors, 75 and over, knowing life expectancy, most of these seniors are probably living by themselves. So the highest rate can be found in a census tract in Pembroke Park, where nearly 40% of the seniors aged 75 and over are living in poverty. So again, that's a senior with an income of about $18,000, $18,500. So in summary of my presentation, the major population changes in Broward County are: school age and senior population will grow, increased racial and ethnic diversity, a decreasing white population, international immigration drives our growth, continued multifamily housing growth, and this is due to a lack of vacant land, and the parcels that are available are small. A local economy dominated by service and retail, and continued senior poverty in isolated pockets. So this is my contact information. I've left some cards with Sue if you want to reach out, but if you also have any questions, I'm here to answer. Yes, sir.
Luke Harrigan. Quick question.
Luke, if you wouldn't mind speaking to the microphone because it's being streamed. Thank you.
Can you hear me? My name is Luke Harrigan. I was just wondering, you give us the demographic, the location where the poorest people are. Where is Fort Lauderdale located in the bracket? Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah, isn't that where the lowest poverty is located? No?
Let's have a look. So I mean, the 40 to 50%, that dark purple, does include some areas of Fort Lauderdale, and then, yeah, it does include Fort Lauderdale. I haven't ranked them in that. I mean, we could provide that ranking by city, but some of these census tracts are surely located within Fort Lauderdale. You're welcome. Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Acevedo.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Director.
Next up on our agenda is the approval of the February 28th meeting minutes. I would entertain a motion. And that would be as amended. We had left off Maura Bowman from the original draft of the meeting minutes that was emailed to you all. So you do have a copy in front of you as amended with Maura on it.
So moved. Okay.
Thank you very much. Moved and seconded to approve. Is there any corrections? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Sue, I'll pass it over to you for the chair's report. I believe you have an email from Marcia for us.
I do. Good morning. Marcia was unable to be here, and as she announced during the last Housing Council meeting, she wants to remain on the Housing Council, but she won't be seeking re-election as chair. And she asked me to share this message with you all, which is, good morning, my fellow members of the Broward Housing Council. Today for me is bittersweet, stepping down from a 7-year-long role of leadership with some of the brightest and best experts and practitioners of all things affordable housing leaves a gap for me, emotionally and professionally. But I am honored and delighted to know how far we've come and how much further this council will reach in its mission as watchdog, data provider, and advisor to the vigilant Board of County Commissioners regarding our housing needs. My gratitude to you and even more to the staff, Joe Sisodia, Suzanne Carano, and Keith Darby. I will continue to serve. We need all hands on deck in the days to come. May God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for letting me share that with you.
Thank you very much. Sue, I am going to leave it with you for the director's report.
Okay, thank you. First, I wanted to make an introduction of this gentleman sitting here next to me, Darby Del Sal, who is the Assistant Director of the Urban Planning Division. He is with us today. I guess this would be an appropriate time to tell you that Joe Sisodia is retiring as of May 23rd. So I just wanted to make you all aware of that. She had sent an email to Marcia, and I believe Marcia was going to share that information with you.
Okay.
Also, just to note that next month is the time that we start talking again about the annual workshop. So start thinking about a theme, if you want to do it in person again or remotely, and, a possible date. It's going to be that time of year again. So those are really, I think I have the things to report. I don't know if Darby wants to say anything. Okay, Darby's just going to out, and glad to have him here. And I believe that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sue. Darby, we're going to get you talking in the next coming meetings, that's for sure. Moving on to new business. We do have an approval necessary for the Broward Housing Council 2024 annual report that we did go over at the last meeting. I would entertain a motion to approve that. The motion would actually be to forward it to the Board of County Commissioners for acceptance.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you very much. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Really quickly, I'll just make a point that Joe will be working with Commissioner Rogers to place this on the County Commission meeting agenda in June for their acceptance.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Next up is approval to amendments, approval of the amendments to the Broward Housing Council bylaws. They are attached in the packet that you have. They were also emailed to you. Those amendments were the ones that we had discussed at the last meeting. So what you're looking at is the new bylaws as amended. So I would entertain a motion to approve those as well.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you very much. Is there any discussion on the bylaws? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Next up on our agenda is the Housing Council Officer elections, choosing the chair and the vice chair. I do know that we have a lot of people that are out today. Is that something that we're moving forward with today?
It does state that sorry, let me turn this on. It does state that we would hold our annual elections in April.
Okay.
If everybody wants to move forward with that, we typically do take, a nomination for the chair and then nominations for the vice chair, so.
Okay, I will open up the floor for a nomination for the chair of the Housing Council.
Chair, if I may.
Sir?
I'll move to recommend Chris Yu as the chair.
Well, thank you
If
very
will
much, sir.
accept.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Ms. Beth?
I agree with Adjabola, and I nominate you
Thank you very much.
President, Chair.
Anyone else? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. I humbly accept. We also need a vice chair, so I would entertain a motion for a vice chair for the Housing Council as well.
Chair,
Yes, sir.
if I may, I will nominate Beth Daly as the vice chair.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Parnell. Do we have any other nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Beth.
Congratulations. We look forward to working with you.
Well, I think this council has been tasked for many years with doing some incredible work for the county and for everybody that we're here fighting for. So I do not take this role lightly by any means, and I think that I've got some pretty huge shoes to fill with Marcia, and I really wish that she was here so that we could express our gratitude to her, but I'm sure that she will be present at the next meeting, I would hope, so we can save those comments for then. Do we have any old business? Do not. Any old business that we still have left, Sue?
No old business. I do have a new business item
Okay,
whenever we get to that.
let's get into new business. What do we have?
I wasn't sure where to include this, so I put it in new business. I'd actually like to invite Naomi Labate from the county's board section, Intergovernmental Affairs Board section.
Okay.
She's in charge of all the county boards, believe it or not. And she wanted to talk to us about our assistance in filling a position on a board. Do you mind speaking into the mic since we're being recorded? Thank you.
Thank you, Naomi. Welcome.
Sorry to blank down your name.
Thank you. Thank you, Sue. She and I go way back. She knows my name. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for allowing me this time. My name is Naomi Labate. I am the board's administrator for the county. We process your appointments, your removals, anything that you need, please let us know. I'm here to actually let you know that we have a vacancy on the homeless continuum of care. And the board, the Housing Council, does have a seat from, well, that you get to nominate. You nominate a representative nominated by the Housing Council to serve on the homeless continuum of care. The last person was Carol Hatton, and Sue was sharing that ever since she was on serving this board, Carol has been the representative. So it is an opportunity to have somebody new serve on there. I think she resigned or left the board a couple months ago.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Naomi.
Naomi, can you tell us, what does that entail? How frequently do they meet, or do you know?
They do meet quite often. I don't have all the details. What I'll do is give you a summary of the purpose of the homeless and all the details that come to it, meeting details and all that. That way it can be better presented.
Okay.
I just came to make that announcement. Next time.
Thank you very much.
Quickly, I served on this board for 20 years.
Yes.
I served on it for 20 years.
Wow.
Way back under President George W. Bush, I served. I got a quick question. Has everything changed as far as how much? Because the problem we're facing as far as put those guys in those houses, is find a place for them to, to stay. Has any improvement made in that?
I would perhaps the best person to speak to would be the director of that division, Patrice Baldino. I know that the county takes really, really active care for the homeless. We fight a lot. So if we want to have data, I can be the person to bring that data for you. I would like to be accurate and neat and concise in answering that. I can do that next time. I just wanted to know that also I will be attending your meetings more frequently. These are the type of questions I expect to get, but allow me some time to prepare a clear response. Fair? Thank you.
Thank you, Naomi.
Thank you, and we can certainly share when we have more information about the position and the board and all of that, then I can share it with you, and if someone would like to, we can discuss it at the next meeting, okay.
Great, thank you, Sue. I think when you do get that info, if you can distribute it, and that way maybe at the next meeting, we could put somebody into that position. Next up is public comment. Is there anybody from the public? Yes, sir. If you could please use the podium.
Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee, my name is Luis Nicola Aguilar. I actually work for Housing Options Solutions and Support. We are the division that facilitates the homeless continuum of care. And that board, the HCOC, meets on a monthly basis, the third Wednesday of the month. Besides that committee, we have other subcommittees. There's one in particular, PONG, which stands for Performance, Outcomes, Needs, and Gaps. that addresses data. So any data requests, that's the best place to address it and request it. And they meet the Tuesday before the HCOC on a monthly basis. All these meetings are also Sunshine, so you can also find them in the Sunshine website of the county.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other members of the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, our next Housing Council meeting is going to be 10 a.m. Friday, June 27th, right here in the same room. And I would ask that we all please put some thought into the workshop so that way we can have a productive, fruitful conversation in June and have everything ready for the fall. That being said, I would take a motion to adjourn. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.